we have to study about comparative performance of the economies of India, China, and Pakistan. Okay, now we have to go for comparison between these three countries regarding their performance of the economies. Now, before we go for comparison, we have to study about the structure of economies of China and Pakistan. Okay, the data are comparative performance of the economies of India, China, and Pakistan. Labgudwa, the tanda lomba disum nang lo le. Karichia resana comparison jikche ore. Wa comparison jikche yore. Okay, so lomba sumja ki economies di kandis chung yume jigyorwa and di kana comparison che yore. Wa but comparison che yung du kabla and di nang lo le parameters khashis yore di sim jene di pechit tang jene ene nganzo lomba sum di nang lo paso comparison che di chagore. But before we go for comparison wa and comparison chiege parameters kari me dingela, what we have to see is ane China gi lungba nangla kari chung yume China gi economy di kandis chiyume kola study chiye chati gore as well as Pakistan gi kola chati gore. Okay, so first we will go for China in da. All right. Okay, China ki an economy we will see. Now see here, being one of the oldest civilization in the world, China has been the world's largest economy. China oldest civilization jikchatigitwa world ki nangole and China world ki largest economy jia chatigware. After the establishment of republics, People's Republic of China under one-party rule. Rwata party chiki wala. Ani shungjik form jere, which is called as People's Republic of China. All the critical sectors of the economy, enterprises and lands owned and operated by individuals were brought under the government control. So People's Republic of China, as we said before, statism lana shesuwa ta under this one nanglo le shungi karichiyoresna michiki wa land own chigiyonere enterprises chigran and operate chigiyonere wa ani dinang shi economy ta nanglo sectors kechembo kariyone denso chaza chigwa ta shungi under wala layer. Okay, all has been brought under the government control. Now number one, see here, Great Leap Forward campaign. All right, now what is this Great Leap Forward campaign? The campaign, what is the meaning of campaign here? Campaign means it is an activity to achieve something. Now, in 1958, a program named the Great Leap Forward campaign was initiated by Mao to modernize China's economy. The GLF the campaign the initiate chingi start chingi wasu chegidu Mao Zedong labgi wangazo chadi gore. Okay, so the program chik chadi gore in 1958 nangole. Now miyu di kari chadi gitu China gi economy di modern suya chidu chadi gore. The aim of this campaign was to transform agrarian economy into a modern economy. So miyu karisha agriculture agrarian lana agriculture economy chigyorwa economy which is depending on agriculture. Ta di mewa se rwa ani khari suya tabshi chigido modern economy chik suya. Ta khandes through the process of rapid industrialization. Industrialization la bing di kabla industry ma much gap yung wa. Okay, so fastly industrialization process chene ane China ki economy di modern economy chik suya. Agriculture economy ni and transform chene modern economy chik suya. Di miyu cha di war campaign digi. So dilatene under this program people were encouraged to set up industries in their backyard. Backyard lamna susu ki nangi gyablo saja yor wa. Oh, din nangla ane industry gyabjuya set up chia. Okay, encourage share elagwa. In rural areas, communes were started. Under the commune system, people collectively cultivated land. Ta rural areas nangole kharichisha. Rwa ta rural areas nangole communes lamne start chere lagwar. Okay, so commune labim du kabla this system din nanglo le rwa means land cultivate chain di kabla susu chikmo member che susu chikmo ger wa cultivate ma che wache mit sama chu ruru chene rwa ani saja chiki khala cultivate chia. That is called as commune system lagwa. Is that clear? Okay. In 1958 there were 26,000 communes covering almost all farm population. Then 1958 now becomes chikchungore rwa and digi the farm population cover chikore lagwar. GLF campaign met with many problems. The campaign la ta kange chungdwa a severe drought caused havoc in China, killing about 30 million people. So drought chungdwa tukcha shubuchi and digi havoc destruction caused chere by killing about 30 million people. Okay, one thing. And second one is Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. Now the revolution de karime. Okay, when we say proletarian, working class chadi bore. Okay, so 1965 now Mao introduced Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution 1966-76 padu, under which students and professional labdi kala profession chik nangole yonge rwa working people la were sent to work and learn from the countryside lamna rural areas la. So students che professional kunzo tangdwa lega che as well as learn che from countryside. However, when Russia had conflicts with China, it withdrew its professionals who had earlier been sent to China to help in the industrialization process. Russia da China ni kimala conflict chungdi kabla. And Russia gingema Koran sogi professionals mambochi China la sent wa industrialization process na wala ropa chido. Ta Koran ni kimala nyokta chungdi kabla and Russia gi kari cheresana Koran sogi professionals chazanchi ma withdraw chere la war. So this is Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. Then Sumbati, reforms introduced in China. The present-day fast industrial growth in China can be traced back to the reforms introduced in 1978. China gilungpa nangole reforms introduced chere 1978 nangole. And as we have seen before, China gi nangole industrial growth, industrialization process di gochu suwa, right? That the we can see we can trace back to the reforms introduced in 1978. That the fast industrial growth 중대화 지역과 China 나올랐다 디 아니 녜마 reforms introduced 제시해줘 지역과 아니 드네네 중시해줘 직차디고 레라고 다 China기 reforms 디 아니 phases stages 담마다 직레임거래 디나올래 okay so China introduced reforms in phases like in the initial phase 나올래 stage 나올래 reforms were initiated in agriculture. Reforms the current knowledge agriculture sector knowledge foreign trade knowledge investment sector knowledge. In agriculture, commune lands were divided into small plots. The agriculture knowledge commune land land the ma small plot knowledge ma divide which were allocated to the individual household. The land division chadigido adinangole. Okay, so land divide chene any individual la la small plot te la gosh. Okay, only for use chedoreda, not as ownership, but permanent te mare la gosh. Kunzo own che chugo mare la gosh. In a pejetang chugo la gosh. They were allowed to keep all income from the land after paying stipulated taxes. The land ni income chiragirwa income rayum du kabla and stipulated taxes required taxes lawa te goyaji orwa ditte tetsabishula income chazanji susunyaya chadi por the reforms tangshudi phase tangshudi chadi gitwa in the later phase nanglole reforms were initiated in industrial sector right now private sector firms and township and village enterprises which were owned and operated by local collectives were allowed to produce goods. Chaswa private sector firms in ere any town any village enterprises. Rwa the dinzo enterprises which were owned and operated by local collectives. The local Koransugi Ruru Cheneta to collectively Karichigora own as well as operate Chigota. Dinzo Nangole were allowed to produce goods. Goods produced Chechoya, the Cheyorelagor. At this stage, enterprises owned by the government. Rwata Shunga owned enterprises Yorwa called as state-owned enterprises were made to face competition and competition jejuya. Okay, so then this China naule reforms introduced jeshe yoji or what the nauleta face ka nichi then this gudu. Okay, then fourth, dual pricing in the reforms process. The reform process also involved dual pricing. The dual means two lagorwa. This means fixing the prices in two ways. The dual pricing labing the price fix cheti kabla chetan ka ni jiwesare. First, farmers and industrial units were required to buy and sell fixed quantities of inputs and outputs on the basis of the prices fixed by the government. Price chigdi sugu fix chigidu shungi. Chadigidwa. Okay, so input nyugi yonere, input zongi yonere, output nyugi yonere, output zongi yonere. Tinsu chasa ruwa and the price fix chigdi shung chagwa relagor. Second one is for other transactions, the inputs and outputs were purchased and sold at market prices. The Shemba transactions chidurwa and inputs, outputs, nyuguduwa as well as zonguduwa, the market normal price kari prevail chiguyone, this is ole inputs da output purchase chainere, sold chainere, wa chadi gore la chikdi shungere dwa fix chigi dwa price di chikdi market shisole to gore la war ngawadila special economic zone tati dire foreign investors nzuki ta susulungba nalle ma invest che juya che du and special economic zone di establish che re la ba. Okay, the special economic zone di nalle and special facilities te bore. Okay, in order to attract foreign investor. So this is about China ki economy chade bore. Now we will go for Pakistan economy. Okay. Now in Pakistan nanglole mixed economic system. This we have seen before. Pakistan follows the mixed economy model with coexistence of public as well as private sector. So mixed economic system nanglole private and public sector nika yugo chadi bore. Nibadila introduction of various policy. 1950s and 1960s. Pakistan introduced a variety of regulated policy framework for growth of domestic industry. Susulumba ginanglo le yesheju industry grow chaya chedu ruwa and Pakistan ki variety policy regulated labin controlled ruwa policy framework labna structure lapshine digire wa then this chick introduced chair the policy combined tariff protection for manufacturing of consumer goods tariff lama tax la wa that the policy dinawla kari kari me manufacturing of consumer goods manufacture wa chedu ani tariff protect tariff through ne rawa tax through ne protection chik te thubia and together with the direct import controls on competing imports and dinashi rawa import di nyung rotaya okay import di nyung rotaya on competing imports so policy mampuchi karichiers na introduce chere. Okay, so policy thampu dikharesha consumer goods manufacture chigorwa ani obviously dinsu goods nzorwa protect chele tariff protection introduced chere dinashi together with direct import control import dia control chia wata import control love yung de kawra chigi lungba ni import chia di ma nyu taya a chigi lungba ni import chia di nyu tangi yu na obviously domestic industries now le produce chi ji chalan demand le ngurwa case wa chikche and suzuki lungba now le manufacture chi consumer goods wa and zongdi kabla obviously kunzuki tariff di nyunga charge chia ruwa so that zongdi lela ruwa so like this ruwa policy dini as an example jiteyore to protect domestic industries in order to achieve growth of domestic industries. Okay, then green revolution. In case of agriculture, the introduction of green revolution and increase in public investment in infrastructure led to a rise in production of food grains. The green revolution chungduwa, right? Green revolution chungyore dinashi and trosontangaya shungi infrastructure ki kala. So dinsu chasa la tenerwa ane production of food grains production nalole ane rice chungyore lagor. So the chung du kabla ane India Pakistan ki agriculture agrarian lagorwa structure di ane change shukchumbuchi cha de lagor. Importance to the role of public sector in early 1970s. In the early 1970s, nationalization of capital goods industry took place. The capital goods industries yorwa Okay, the kari chungyores na nationalization law yung kabla transfer of industry from private to public. There nationalization. Okay, private ne ta kari chadiyore public la pa zitiya. Okay, on the chungre la kwar. Importance to the role of private sector in the late 1970s. The late 1970s nangole ane private sector la role kechambu jikte yusare. Early 1970s nangole public sector chadigidwa important role. In the late 1970s, there was a shift in the government policy when it adopted the policy of denationalization. Nationalization la binti kabla private ne public la patia. Shung la patitia. Shung lengore. Rawa, say for example, capital goods industries. Tachi sukari chungsha denationalization. So denationalization la binti kabla opposite rita. Public pa private la pa transfer chikwore. That means private sector la role mangati yungware. Government encouraged the private sector and also offered various incentives to them. As I said before, ta shungi karichi wa private sector di kechimbo chi tsichenerwa and private sector di encourage ware. Okay, so this chazanchik created a conducive climate for new investment. What that in chazanki karichi na conducive atmosphere chik sure in order to go for investment. Okay, then financial support during the late 1970s. So period dinangole Pakistan also received financial support from Western nations, remittances from immigrants labing di kabla susulumba sha chenerwa alumba shemba na settle chiga tukutwa called as immigrants. And remittances lamna kuran su pesha tangsha kyochiorwa to the Middle East. Kawala Rosha Middle East che. Wa so period din naule any Pakistan financial support chumbuchi rayo sare Western nations che as well as the immigrants ki tangsha pesha. Wa so this helped the country in stimulating economic growth. Piratane any economic growth achieved chele and help shukchumbushi teo relakwar. Reforms. In 1988, reforms were initiated in the country. So 1988 kinangole and reforms the initiate chere la quarta Pakistan kinangole. Comparative study India, China and Pakistan. Okay, so we have seen before the developmental strategies of China and Pakistan, right? So now what we have to do is we have to go for comparison in three countries, that is India, China and Pakistan. And when we are comparing these three countries, we have to go for comparison on the basis of certain indicators such as population, growth, sectoral development and other developmental indicators. Now what we have to do is the lumba disum nanglo lerwa comparison chikcheore. Okay, now comparison chidu kabla indicators kashis chikte yore. Tina indicators shi yore. Di shi di nganzu ki study chere. Okay, study chene and say for example demographic lamna population ki kola. Okay, so demographic India nanglo le kandis chik yume, China ki nanglo le kandis chik yume, Pakistan nanglo le kandis chik yume. Then we have to go for comparison. Same growth GDP ki kangla. Then sectoral development. Sector sum yorwa tertiary sector, secondary sector and agriculture sector. Rwa disum kangla study chere in these three countries, and we have to go for comparison. And finally, we have human development indicators. All right, so now in depth, we are going to study about these four indicators, okay, and we will do comparison. Now, the first one will be about demographic indicators, okay. Now, demographic means population rate, okay. So now we will see the population in these countries. So here a table is given, okay. So this is the demographic indicators. All right, so now we're going to see in depth about all these things. Now when we say demographic, population labing the population jibo member che, apart from it we have to study about obviously growth rate of population, okay, as well as density of population, sex ratio, and then we have fertility rate, urbanization, okay. So all these things will come under demographic. Now the first one is population. All right, so China is the most populous country in the world with 1,371 million people, and India is the second most populated country with 1,311 million people. As compared to China or India, population of Pakistan is very less, that is 188 million people. So see here, it is given here. So this is as per the year 2015 ke chate ko hai. All right, now when we look at the global population, global means world population, out of every 6 persons living in this world, one is an Indian and another one is Chinese, okay. The population of Pakistan is very small and accounts for roughly about 1/10 of China or India, right? So now see the population here, it is given. Is that clear? Okay, as well as when we look at the world population, it is given here. If there is a 6 person, one is an Indian and another one is Chinese, right? Now we can see here the population of Pakistan in this year. It is only 188 million people, which is very less in comparison to other two countries, right? Okay, then next one is growth rate of population. So see here, it is given, right? Annual growth of population. Again, the data is from the year 2015. So lo re naule ane population naula growth kazis chungu yume. Though China is the most populated country, but its annual growth rate of population is lowest chadidwa. See here, 0.5, as compared to India, which is 1.2%, and Pakistan is 2.1%. Now, lo re naule Pakistan gilungwa naule growth di mga chadigidwa, then followed by India and China di nunga chadigidwa. Now why less in China? The reason for the low growth of population is the one-child policy introduced in China in late 1970s. On de la tene chadigwa. One-child policy. Puguchigranchik. Suchoya. Rwa. Kechoya. The policy di chadigwa. Okay. So one-child policy of China has successfully reduced the growth rate of population and provides a better health service for women and has reduced the risks of death and injury associated with pregnancy. Right? So lo re nangole China ki population nangole growth di nyunga cha di gore reason di one child policy. one child policy digi and successfully karichesha growth rate of population di reduce cheyore lago ani mi nyung do yung du kabla obviously health services dia yaga te thupgurwa especially keme nzuchedo rowa and pregnancy ki kabla ani death chungya injury chungya yorwa tenzu reduce chayore lago because of providing better health service population nyua chane rowa dilatene. However, this policy has some other implications also. The policy dila implications shamba chige yore lagor rowa penetration na after a few decades karchungresana there will be more elderly people in proportion to young people in China. That the chungstigre lagor da one child policy dila tenerwa mi gengoki proportion di pet manga chasigire than young people. So this will force China to take steps to provide social security measures with fewer workers. Ta di la tenerwa ta gengo mauru do yung du kabla young people di nyung ru do gorwa so di la tene en kari chungsi ki resna rwa ta China lungwa ki steps lengo yore rwa ane social security measures chik te to bia for few workers la rwa density of population ta density of population labing du kabla ta di lagore per square kilometer nanglo le ene mi kazus chi de tu yume mi kazus chi yume lagor density dila lagor wa. So China is the third largest country in the world and growth rate of population is lowest in China as comparison to India and Pakistan. This we have seen just now. As a result, density of population of China is the lowest, that is 146 persons per square kilometer. So per square kilometer na mika just to 146 persons chadu gore. As compared to India, which is 441 persons per square kilometer. And Pakistan now 245 persons per square kilometer. That is density of population. Then comes sex ratio. Okay, so sex ratio labing du kabla per 1,000 males la and female kazuyume. That is called as sex ratio. So sex ratio is what? The number of females per 1,000 males is called as sex ratio. Okay, now due to the preference of son, sex ratio is low and biased against females in all the three countries. That is sex ratio di longa sumja nanglole jikwa chadi go sere. Rawa sumja gi nanglole son gi preference di manga son prefer chigo re lago. Dila tene ta kari chadi go re sex ratio di nyunga and biased rawata son la prefer chigi na son go ye lagu na and biased chaswa against female rawa. So sex ratio is the lowest in India with 929 females per 1,000 males. So India gi nanglo le 1,000 males la kazutu 929 females chadi gore. China and Pakistan nanglo le 941 in China nanglo 941 and Pakistan nanglo le 947 chadi gitwa per 1,000 males. Right, so comparison cheyung di kabla India nanglo le sex ratio di low chadi gitwa. Okay, in the recent times all the three countries are adopting various measures to improve the situation. Okay, so again you can see this table. Density per square kilometer, it is given here. Sex ratio is also given here. So again the data is of the year 2015. Okay, then we go for fertility rate. Now, what is this fertility rate? Fertility rate is calculated as the number of children born by a woman in the reproductive age 15 to 45 years on an average. Fertility rate the karichati goresana than the reproductive age labgitwa reproduce chair baby reproduce chair lagorta age 15 to 45 years digit nanglo le e kemi chigirwa pugu kajuschi ketubiyume or kegiyume dila fertility rate chadi gore. So since the introduction of one child policy wa China gi nanglo le the fertility rate in China has fallen from over 3 births per woman in 1980. 1980 nanglo per woman 3 births chigizarwa wa ta khari chungyore ta nyungro chinyore tadi to approximately 1.6 birth digams chikcha deyore lagor. Fertility rate is the highest in Pakistan. Pakistan only mangshu chadi gore per woman 3.7 birth lying kutwa, and India comes second with 2.3 births per woman. Okay, so this is the fertility rate. Now urbanization. The urbanization da byungde kabla cities nangole there. So urbanization is the highest in China. 56% population the urban areas nangole the digore. In India and Pakistan nangole 33% and 39%. India nang 33% chadi gore and Pakistan nangole 39% chadi gore. Okay, so this is about we can say demographic indicators. Okay, so as I said before, when we say demographic, it is not only about the population. We have to go for density also, sex ratio we have to see, fertility rate we have to see, and urbanization also. Okay, so all the data are given here, right? And we have also gone for comparison. Is that clear? So this is demographic indicators.